Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's a very special webinar for IWCA where we're going to move a step forward into knowledge and knowing more how to do things better. So I am very pleased to be here today with Kirsten Nelson, or a communications manager, and with Beth Spong, CEO of Dean Beans up north in Michigan, but also board member of IWCA. So thank you so
Massachusetts,
much.
but it's okay. It's
Oh,
one of the M states.
Massachusetts. It's about in the north. Sorry about that.
No
So thank you
problem.
for being here. And we're going to have today and tomorrow, we're going to have this webinar. We're very lucky to have it in English and Spanish tomorrow in the very important subject about how to create the perfect budget for the projects that IWCA chapter members are presenting. So my name is Blanca Castro, Executive Director of the International Women's Coffee Alliance. As you all know, we've been working for women and their communities and their families for the last 20 years, supporting and accompanying women around the world. This is our small but huge and powerful map with 35 chapters globally. And we already have 5 chapters information, gathering more than 16,000 members worldwide. So if you are here, means that you got the invitation, and welcome everyone to this wonderful opportunity. I think you skipped one of with the survey. That one. In 1922, we launched a survey to all the chapters asking what were the subjects that they needed to learn more and to know more about. So as women, everything is a priority, and we had a long list of 20 items on that. But we decided we were going to focus in 4 subjects during the next years. One is the engagement and networking, the market access programs that we are developing, the training leadership development to make these organizations stronger, and the financing and access to financial literacy, financial education. So this is part of what we are doing today to share a little bit of knowledge on how things should be done. Last year in 2023, we launched our strategic plan focusing in 4 main areas: organizational development, as we already mentioned, the research and advocacy that we need to place the women's work around the coffee industry. We are creating impactful programs so that we move forward on everybody's goals, and high impact communication so that we are all informed and connected. And with that said, Beth, I don't know. This is something that you and me is going to present on the what IWCA program.
Either you can go through it, or I'm happy to jump in here
Okay,
after.
so I'm very pleased to introduce you to Beth Spong. And she has a lot of experience in building up grants, in financial presentations and build up for other kind of organizations, and we are very lucky to have her this time with us in IWCA. So the floor is yours, Beth. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I am Beth. I'm here in Massachusetts at Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, and so honored to be serving on the IWCA Global Board. I do have a long background in nonprofit work. So if people could just make sure you're muted, that would be great. So we're not hearing what's happening in your background. Thank you. Okay. So we're hearing a conversation in the background. So if you could mute yourselves, that would be terrific. Thank you. So I've worked in nonprofit leadership for many years, and I have written many grants and created many budgets, and so this is an area of experience and expertise that I developed over that period of time. And I'm so happy to be able to share it with the chapters, as this program the chapter project funding program um, grows. So one of the things that we know about IWCA is a small nonprofit organization with a global board, and now as Blanca just said, there are 35 chapters around the world in different countries and five more on the way. So it's growing. The need is clearly present for women in coffee to have support, connection, resources, and skill building. And so happy to participate in this process. So, what IWCA Global provides to the chapters is chapter coordinators. Right now, we have Teo Pista, who's working in Africa. We have Orieta, who's working in Latin America. Blanca, before she became the executive director of IWCA, was also doing chapter coordination around the world. And we're looking forward in the year ahead, hopefully, to having the resources to add two more chapter coordinators for Asia, one for Asia and one for consuming countries. So, having chapter coordinators who can be direct resources, providing essential and consistent support to the chapters as they're growing, as they're um, expanding their membership, et cetera, is really important. One of the key things that IWCA is committed to is to helping to create a bridge to market for women working in coffee, and also a bridge to potential funders for important projects that the chapters need to do. So that's a key role that we take very seriously. And we're also engaged with coffee companies in producing countries. And uh, a significant amount of the funding and the interest in chapter projects comes from coffee companies in producing countries. So, IWCA having those relationships is really important and a way that we can serve chapters around the world. Um, Also, we provide increased impact for women in coffee around the world through the chapter support and the things mentioned before. And so the chapter funding project it has been around for a while, but the innovation here is to um, takes time, it takes energy, it costs money to provide all of these things. And so one of the ways that chapter funding project funding works is that 10% of project funding goes to IWCA Global to fund to help fund the chapter coordinators and the other resources that IWCA brings to the women in coffee community. So what we're going to do on this webinar is talk about how the chapter project funding program works, talk a little bit about funders, about what makes a proposal strong, how to create a clear budget, and making your proposal stand out. If funders are looking at 25 proposals and they can only fund 7, how do you make your program your proposal stand out? And how you can get help and support, and we'll have some time for questions and answers. So um, let's dive into that. So how the program works. The concept has been in place for years, but IWCA Global now has the capacity to grow to the next level with chapters around the world. And thanks to the implementation of new tools and new technologies, we can now make this program available to chapters. And it's a really exciting amplification of the robust support that is available for chapters. The chapters have their own links, will have their own links to their project funding page and to Give Butter, which is the online giving platform that IWCA uses. So let's say I'm a person who's really curious about women in coffee, and I go to IWCA's page and I read about some of the projects that are available for funding. If I want to fund the project in Burundi or the Philippines, I can give directly through to that project through GiveButter. And so you, as chapters, when you have projects that have been approved and submitted and approved and are on the site, then you will be able to derive traffic directly to the site in with potential funders that you have relationships with and in your community locally so that people can contribute to the project. And there are a number of reasons that people might want to give to the chapter projects. Individuals and companies in the coffee industry um, may be wanting to give for tax benefits that they get in their country when they make a philanthropic or a charitable donation, or they may want to make a contribution because of their social impact goals. And they see IWCA chapter projects as one way to really advance their social impact goals. So individuals and companies will find out about the chapter projects through the IWCA website, through IWCA and social media and chapter social media, through companies that, like Dean's Beans is a for-profit company. We might do something, or Starbucks or Pete's or Hutton Coffee or Caribou Coffee may decide that we're going to come together and our whole team is going to have the opportunity, is going to do a fund drive, and we want to raise money for IWCA projects. And so members of our company, employees of our company, might make a contribution to that specifically. And also people like to celebrate events in their lives, birthdays, work anniversaries, other exciting things by saying, hey, instead of giving to me, please, I love IWCA. I love these chapters. Please consider making a gift to IWCA's chapter funding. Um, and how are the funds going to be dispersed? So we're developing a process for this right now. And so we'll be able to give you more information as we have that established. And if a project, let's say a project has cost $30,000, if it doesn't get full funding, IWCA will do an assessment and assist the chapter in pursuing the additional funding that it needs and in finding other solutions. So that's a high level overview of how the chapter project funding works. So when you are, and I know a number of country chapters have already submitted proposals and others are thinking about submitting proposals. So the rest of our conversation today, and there will be time for questions and answers, so please write down your questions, will be specifically aimed at people who chapters who are wanting to put together a proposal and do it in the best ways possible. So if you're interested and you're ready to take this step, the first thing you want to do is pull together a team. Who are the people in your chapter, in your local coffee community who are passionate about this project, who bring skills that are needed or connections that are needed or um, various kinds of expertise that will be important to its success. So you want to build your team of people who will be helping to drive the project forward. And then you're going to design the project. So you know what your community's needs are, what's most important, where the gaps are for you. And so you're going to design a project and we'll go through what are the elements of a project design and proposal. And you're going to identify possible funders. Now, some funders are going to be coming directly through IWCA because they know about IWCA's work around the world and they're really interested in supporting that work. Other potential funders include your town or city, your municipality where you live, your state or your district may have funding for the kinds of projects that you're doing. Your national government may have funding available for the kinds of projects that you're interested in. There may be individuals or coffee companies in your country or in your region who may be potential funders as well. So looking for funders, putting your proposal and your budget together. So that's an overview of the process. Strong proposals. So you want to, this is just very high level, but you want to be communicating very clearly why this project is important and the difference that it will make for you to address this issue or solve this problem. You want to talk about who will this project serve? How many people will it serve both directly and indirectly? So, for example, if you're going to be doing specific technical assistance training with 150 farmers, uh, coffee growing women, those are the people you're directly serving. As you help them gain skill and um, then their families and their community will be indirectly served. So that's an important addition to, yes, you're actually working with 150 women, and indirectly, you will also be serving others. You want to be really clear about the what. So to describe your solutions and your interventions in detail, you would need to be clear about your goal, the specific goals. What will you accomplish? And also, how will you measure that? We'll know that we're succeeding because we have 5,000 coffee trees that are grafted with a more resilient strain. Or we'll know that we're succeeding when 75 women are have advanced their cupping skills, or when 30 exporters have gone through this training um, and now have specific knowledge and skill and ability. So, how are you measuring success? How will you know? And how will your funders also be able to identify your success? You need to describe the people and resources that you will need. Who's going to be involved? What expertise do you need? What consultants do you need? What resources will you need in order to succeed? And you want to be able to provide a timeline. So, describing the order of your tasks and when you'll do them. And you can do this by month. In January, we're going to do this. In February, we're going to do that. And go through the months. You can do it by season. In the spring, we need to do this. In the summer, we'll do that. In the fall, we'll do this. In the winter, we'll do that. So, or you can do it by quarter of the year, but you want to have either some sort of narrative um, that describes the timeline or a table that describes the timeline. So, Kirsten, our communications manager, is going to put in the chat a link to the project template that you will fill out, and we'll walk through that. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a moment and start sharing this. Now, this is actually, you know what, in the interest of time, I'm just going to share it. And it's a little overwhelming, I'll tell you that right now. And so we're not going to do a deep dive here. I'm just going to give you the overview of what's on the project summary template. So here it is, starting at the top. This is the information that you will provide to IWCA through the form. Basic information about the project itself, your chapter, etc. Then you're going to provide a brief overview of the chapter. Here, in a few sentences or a couple of paragraphs, Here's what we're aiming to do. Here's why. Here's the amount of money we need, the total project budget, etc. Then you're going to talk briefly about, you're going to tie this project to IWCA's mission and to the needs of the industry. It's very important for people to know that you understand how your project aligns with these two things strategically. Then you're going to talk about project impact. Who's going to benefit directly and indirectly? What are your expected outcomes? And what's the long-term impact? If we can solve this problem, then in the future, we will have a better quality coffee. We will have a higher yield. We will have more families earning a living income in this region. Whatever the long-term impact is, if you achieve your goals. The details of the project, where you lay it out very specifically. These are the activities we need to do. This is the timeline. This is how we anticipate getting them done. And you want to be clear about the location. So in this district or state, we're going to be working in this way. In this other district or state, we're going to be working with this other group of people, etc. This capability and feasibility part is really about you basically, what makes you think that this team of people with these skills can do this project? And oops. Um, so sorry about that. Um, so you describe who's on your team and what skills they bring, why you think it's feasible, and also to identify the potential risks. For example, um, we're going to be working with women who are in remote locations. And so that may pose some challenges. This hasn't been done before in this region, so that may pose some challenges. So you understand where the challenges are going to be and are able to address them. Then you talk about funding. We're going to dive into the budget in just a little bit, and I'll explain that in detail. You're going to talk about what's in it for the donors and how you're going to communicate. How will the donors benefit? What's in it for them to contribute? How are you going to promote the donors? And how will you be reporting? And then once the project um, proposal is submitted, it's reviewed, and the board, there are recommendations from the staff to the IWCA board for approval and getting things moving forward. So that is the high level there. That was a lot. Don't get overwhelmed. And um, and we'll make it easy for you. But this, I'm going to share my screen again. This is the overview of what's included and what's important here. So,
Um,
great.
Beth, I forgot to ask everyone if anyone has a question to write it down into the chat or
Mm-hmm.
simply raise a hand and maybe you can do it directly.
Um,
This is really
sure.
wonderful, Beth, because we were mentioning before that we have learned a lot through the time. Maybe we should have done this in the very beginning when we started collecting information about the projects. But there is a learning stage, right? And we are learning as we are going through that. So and this is something that maybe we should have done in the past, but it's never too late. And now we have more help. We have people more experience in what we are doing right now. So we need to take advantage of that. Thank you, Beth.
Of course. Of course. And as everybody here knows who is working with chapters, you women are experts at flying the plane while we're building it. And so this is an example that this program has begun and now it's being expanded. And that means putting more systems in place, enhancing staff attention to different things. And so it's a process. And we couldn't have been there before because here we are now.
And
So,
also, I was also mentioning that it's not only about funding, right? It's to building up a relationship with our donors and our community and show the capabilities and everything what we're doing.
yes,
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
nope, that's totally fine. So, in terms of um, budgets, how many people here? I'll just go over this and then we'll dive into the budget template itself. So, how many people are intimidated by numbers and budgets and finance? You can just raise your virtual hand or your actual hand. So many people who don't have a lot of experience with this find the numbers part really overwhelming. I promise you, that used to be me. I would look at the budgets and the numbers, and my brain would freeze. So you're not alone. This is a learnable skill, and you will have help and support along the way. So having a clear budget is really important. And you want to this is high level. What are the costs of the people and the expertise that you need? We need to hire some staff for a period of time who can help implement this project, or we need to hire consultants who have this specific expertise and can provide the technical assistance. What other resources do you need? Well, we need a place to meet. We need transportation. We need a specific equipment. So, really understanding what are the things that you need, the other resources, uh, being really uh, tenacious um, and creative about what can be donated. Does your city or town have a meeting space, or a church in your region have a meeting space, or a school where you could meet? Does Not only are there funds available, but does anybody have the equipment that you need? So you might be able to utilize what's already available. Or is there somebody who can provide the teaching materials and the brochures, or the educational materials that you need, or a place to print them? And also, who are potential funders? And I'll go into that in a minute. So I am going to I'm going through this content, and I promise you there will be time for questions. I cannot see the chat right now because I'm looking at several different things on my screen. So if there's
I
something that people want to, that if somebody wants to read me what's happening in the chat, that's fine.
I
Um,
can do that.
okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know. You are
Okay.
okay.
Fantastic. Thank you. So now we're going to take a look at the budget template. So everybody take a nice deep breath. Settle into your seat. And uh now I'm going to share my screen. Whoops. Um, Here we go. This is the budget template, and I need to make it smaller. All right, let's do that. Okay. So here is what you need to know. So right here is the code. So you want to have the basics up at the top. What's the detail? What are the total costs involved? What you're requesting in US dollars, and what you're expecting to be donated by in kind, or um, a non-financial support. So a lot of people find that in order to get people to participate in a project on a consistent basis, it's really helpful to provide a stipend, to provide some sort of a small amount um, of money to people. You know, if you attend these 6 classes, you will get this much money. That it really makes a huge difference in participation and consistency. So that might be something for you to consider. I'm going to, I made this budget template with kind of an exhaustive list of the kinds of things that might be in it. If this doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. Just delete that, make a copy of it and delete that row for yourself. But I'm just giving you an idea of the kinds of things that you might want to include in a budget. So we have stipends for participants. Now, whoops, now we are at stipends for interns and volunteers. And the way you break this down is we need 10 volunteers to do this project, and we're going to pay X dollars per intern or volunteer, either for the whole project or by the month or by the class or however you break it down so that you can calculate the cost. 10 volunteers at $10 a class and there are 10 classes, that's $1,000 for um, stipends for volunteers. So it provides an easier way to do the math. Um, what expertise do you need to hire for? Um, and is there expertise that you need in agriculture or agroforestry? Um, is there business expertise you need? How to bring things to market? Um, marketing in general? Building relationships in the coffee community, in your country, with existing companies. Um, your project may have something to do with health and wellness, women's health, maternal health, as an urgent need in a community. So that would be another kind of expertise. Um, program evaluation and research consultants. We're going to be working with this university, this academic institution to evaluate our project or help us implement our project. So we need some money to cover that expense or any other kind of technical expertise. So the first thing you do in the budget is you outline the people costs. What is it going to cost for you to have the right people on working on this project? And then you do the detail, you describe what you mean. Then you say the total cost for this is, let's say for stipends for volunteers, is $1,000. And we are requesting, in terms of the chapter project funder, $500 because we have some of our volunteers are willing to donate their time. So in kind would be a donated or non-financial um, kind of support. Some people don't need a stipend, and so we have that would be um, the equivalent of dollars donated. Does that make sense to people? I know it's a lot to absorb. So then you want to do your totals for each of these columns. So you've summarized the people you need. Now you're going to look at other program costs. So that can include equipment, depulpers, fertilizer machines, farming tools, um, forklifts, computers and IT, including hardware and software, transportation and travel. You need to get 25 women to a classroom. It's a rural area. They need transportation, or you and your team need transportation to pay for transportation to go out to that region to meet with people. So you want to make sure you're including that. Um, annual membership dues. We're part of the Colombian Coffee uh, Caficultores Association, and that has a dues. Or we have IWCA membership. It's possible that a funder would be willing to help support that as a cost. Program supplies. We need gloves, test kits, coffee seedlings, etc. Um, storytelling is a really valuable form of documentation to be able to share and show the process of your project and the people involved, the classes, the what's been done. And so whatever you're going to use, whether it's video or photo or audio or um, so there may be a cost to that. Any materials that you need that are brochures, educational, food for trainings and meetings. So these are different kinds of program costs for you to include. And you want to provide the detail. We need 25 depulpers. They cost $2,000 each. So that's $50,000. We're asking for $30,000 because the depulper manufacturer is going to be donating some. And so that would be the in-kind support over here. So that's just to give you an example. So those are all the costs that you can identify in detail. Then funders want to know who else is going to be supporting this project. In general, funders um, don't like to be uh, the only organization or company that is or foundation that is funding a particular project. And so you want to articulate who else may be um, or is already committed. So revenue sources. The type, we have government, state and district, city and town, business and corporate, individuals, or there may be some other kind of support. You name it. So the Nigerian government or the Chiapas, the district of Chiapas or our city of Atsabe in East Timor are, so you know what I mean. And then what are they committing? What are you asking them to commit? And what have you secured? So we've already got commitments from the government to give us $5,000 for this, from a coffee company or a machinery company in our country to give us this much money. And then you do the totals here. Now, you may say, well, how do I know if the government or the state or the city or town will contribute? That's you need to ask some questions and find out what might be available, or be in touch with people who have that expertise and that experience. So you do your totals and then you look at, okay, here's what we have requested but hasn't been secured yet. So again, each type, who you've made the request of, the amount that you've requested, and this is how much is pending. Well, we made a request of $5,000 to the state. We haven't heard yet. So we have $5,000 pending versus we made a request of the state for $5,000 and they said yes. So that has been secured. So that distinction between is it secured or is it pending? But you're listing the potential funders. And then the final kind of support that you want to identify is non-financial support that's being donated. So this could be your government or your city or state could be contributing a community center, office space, office equipment, electricity, internet access, technical assistance, volunteers. So what this indicates, what the in-kind donated non-financial support indicates is that these other entities are supporting your work and your vision, and they're supporting the solving of the problem that you are taking on. And it means a lot to know that, another entity that could be in this list here is colleges and universities. We have a partnership with this university in our region, and they're donating volunteers and technical assistance training, or they're donating the use of some equipment, those kinds of things. So you want to be able to sort of to articulate what types of non-financial support are you getting and what is its value. So the potential funder understands that who is also on board, who are you also engaging? I know that's a lot to go through, and you will have access to this budget template. But I wanted to share with you that we're trying to make it as easy as possible. And I know it still may be overwhelming, but you can learn how to do this. Um, So now I'm going to share my screen again. And so we talked about budgets and being as clear as you can be and why those different, who are the people? What's the expertise? What other resources do you need? What can be donated? And who are potential other funders? That's like, that's what you need to know. And then you put it in the template. So, what are funders looking for? They're looking for a bunch of different things. They're looking for impact. Um, they need to demonstrate they have a commitment to social impact, environmental impact, social justice, economic impact. And so it's part of their mission to contribute to projects and causes that achieve those goals. So there may be a tax incentive, there may be a mission-driven incentive, but investing in your project is one of the ways for them to accomplish some of their goals. They are looking for well thought out projects. So understanding that you have really taken a deep dive in looking at the problem or the issue that you are trying to solve, and that you understand it enough to create a project that will actually be effective in addressing it. Now, we also know that a lot of problems and challenges are long term, right? So you may be taking on the first bite, and because you recognize that until women understand how to do a particular have until they have a particular skill, they're not going to be able to implement that on their farms or in their importing or exporting businesses or in their roasting businesses. And so you start at the beginning, but they want to know that you've thought it out really well and describe why you think your approach will work. We've already the community has already tried these four things and they haven't addressed. So we're combining them in a different way, or we're trying a fifth thing. But they want to understand and that you're being realistic about how many people you can serve and what your goals are. They're also looking for clear and realistic budgets. So you're going to want to think through all the costs, and hopefully the template will help you do that. And um, you don't want to underestimate. You really want to look at, wow, it's really the cost of this equipment or this partnership with the university or whatever is don't underestimate. Say what it costs, but also don't overestimate. Funders know how different economies and currencies work. So a project that might cost $40,000 in the United States will likely cost less in another country. That's how economies work. And so funders are aware of that. So you want to be making a request that funders will understand accurately reflects the financial need that you have. Also about funders, whether it's a foundation or a company or an individual, many of them want to try you out. So they may make in their first year, they may make a smaller grant because they want to see how you do with $15,000. And if you do really well and you're what you accomplish what you set out to, or if you didn't accomplish what you set out to, you can say, these are the challenges that we encountered, and here's how we're planning to address them now. So it's not like everything needs to go perfectly because life doesn't work that way. But they want to they often want to make a smaller investment, see how successfully you manage the project, overcome the challenges that you encounter, how you move toward real solutions. And if you do well, then they're likely the next funding cycle to give you a larger grant. And or to help you, if you found something that's really working, to help you scale that in size and impact for the next time. So those are some things to understand about the budget piece, about how important it is to anticipate challenges. It's impossible to anticipate all the challenges, but that you've thought that part through, that they want to know that you are pursuing other funding and you're not expecting them to give you 100% of the cost of the project. Um, and that you have sustainability in mind going forward. So no funder wants to be committed or needed forever. So you should be looking at and able to articulate how the project will continue beyond this funding cycle. So sometimes you'll get a 3-year funding commitment and they'll give you $25,000 or $50,000 for 3 years in a row to move a project forward. But funders are not hoping to be your only funding source for the future. So you need to be thinking ahead about what kinds of support, other kinds of support are you planning to secure? Are there collaborations that you're doing with other cooperatives that can save on costs and amplify impact? Is there funding? What are the fundings from available from other NGOs, et cetera? Um, and are there ways that money and resources can be saved by addressing this problem? So those are all things that are important for you to think about in the process of um, positioning yourselves to be um, to be fundable, basically. So, how to make your program, your proposal stand out? Good writing, clear writing. It doesn't have to be masterful writing, but it needs to be clear. And from the basics of spelling and grammar and typographical errors, if you're not good at that, if you're a fantastic idea person or a great logistical person, but you are not good at spelling or grammar, find somebody else who can take your ideas, who can take your initial draft and improve it so that it's clear and it's grammatically correct. It just matters. And find someone with that skill and put them to work on it. Really think it through, particularly the challenges that you anticipate part of it. Be realistic about the impact and what you can do. So, if this is a long-standing problem in your region and you are committed, this amazing team of people that you have put together is committed to finding a better way, um, finding a solution to this long-standing problem or challenge, then understand if it's a long-standing problem, it's probably going to be a long-term solution. So sometimes you have to chunk the solution down. In the first funding cycle, we're going to be focused um, on this. The first thing we need to do, the foundation for the solution is this piece of work. And that's where we have to start, knowing that in the future, there'll be more pieces for you to do. I cannot tell you how important it is for you to be passionate in your proposal, for people to be able to understand in reading your proposal how much you care about the women you're helping, about the families and the communities that you are strengthening through this work and the difference that it's going to make. So you can convey that from the title of your project to it'll be clear in your budget, like who you're engaging and throughout the proposal. And you want to have a clear timeline for the project. So the funders know that you understand how long the project is likely to take and the sequence of the work in each time frame, month, quarter, season, etc. Also tell a compelling story. So bring human beings into your proposal. You can do this through video, you can do it through photo. Sometimes it's an additional attachment that so you have your proposal, you fill it all out, and IWCA the staff members and chapter coordinators will work with you on this. But you then you want to say, and here's Maria. here's Teopista, and here's something about her life, her work, her family. She's a fourth generation farmer. She's a third generation exporter. She's you know, a second generation roaster. And here's some of her story. Here's how this problem is affecting her. And here's how the solution that we're proposing to you is going to improve her life and the life of her family and our community. So they're able to put a face and a human being into the story, into the proposal. So the importance of the chapter project funding is central to IWCA in the sense that it is one more way for IWCA to accomplish its impact goals, because these are the impact goals: leadership development, creating strategic partnerships. Oops, sorry about that. Go back. There we go. Um, and and amplified market visibility and access. So by supporting you and your amazing team of brilliant partners in getting good at articulating the project, creating a, a compelling proposal, a clear budget, IWCA is able to help you and other women around the world in our 35 chapters and the 5 chapters that'll be coming on board in the year ahead to expand leadership abilities, create strategic partnerships, and have amplified market access and visibility, which is just so important to and central to the organizations, to IWCA's goals. So that's a lot of information. We have just a few minutes left. I know we started a few minutes late. So let me just say this before we do some questions. If you need help and support with proposal questions, with budgets, you need some guidance and some collaboration on this whole process of creating a proposal and the budget being fundable, what you want to do is reach out to your chapter coordinator, reach out to Blanca. And because the IWCA team works really well and really tightly together, and you will get the help that you need. Because we all know that when women are empowered, community thrives, communities thrive, and that is what we're after. So reach out, ask for support and help. It is available to you. And I'm going to go back to questions, and I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other. So,
I don't see any question in our chat box.
okay.
But
Was this
again,
helpful?
it was for me because we are always learning about things, right? And it's really overwhelming the amount of possibilities in here. The opportunities are there, and really there are people in the world who are willing to give and support either for one purpose or the other. The opportunities are there, and by improving this program of projects, we'll move forward on what we are envisioning for our community.
And also know that as more chapters projects get funding, IWCA will be working to help you and provide support with the next set of skills that you'll need to develop. Or so we're talking about and looking at what are the ways that how do you track a budget? How do you report on a project? Those kinds of things. So any questions or comments here?
Grace says, "Thank you, Beth. It was insightful. We tried to take it all in." Thank you,
This session,
Grace.
sure, you're so welcome. This session was recorded, so if you need to review it again, um, y- Kristen will be able to provide the link to that. And
Also, Maria Boto from El Salvador, she says that they will have a special session to have the format. Thank you. This is very important information.
wonderful.
And
Great.
also, people are expecting the recording of these, which will be published or linked in through the WhatsApp, the YouTube channel. Also, Anke from Germany, thank you. Really great presentation. Thank you,
I
Anke, for
can
being
see.
here.
Great. I can see the chat now.
Oh, okay,
So,
good.
yeah. So I'm sorry I didn't get to see your beautiful faces. Um, and thank you for attending. There's Anka. And thank you for attending. And please reach out for any assistance that we can provide for you as you move forward.
Okay,
Bye,
great.
Maria.